All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Akshay Saxena. I'm a principal solution architect at AWS. Today we are going to talk to you about generative AI on AWS. Some of the content that I'm going to talk about may feel a bit of a repetition from what Bala said earlier, but I think it's important to really drive home the understanding of the underlying technology that generative AI runs on. I've been with AWS 3.5 years or so, coming up to 4 years, and primarily support large nonprofit organizations running the applications and workloads on AWS. Before this, I actually worked for some of the largest system integrators like Deloitte and Accenture, helping public sector and nonprofit organizations build applications on-premise first and then on the cloud. So really looking forward to, really excited about this space. And we'll be talking about how you can build generative AI applications using a myriad of tools and services that AWS provides. I also have my colleague David, who I'll quickly turn over for a quick introduction.
Hey everyone, I'm David Marsh. I'm also a solutions architect at AWS, and I'm on Akshay's team, so I also work with nonprofit organizations. I'm a generalist SA, so we cover all kinds of topics with our customers, including things like AI and machine learning. And I've been at AWS just under 3 years. So really excited about this space as well. I'm looking forward to talking with you all about AWS's capabilities in generative AI.
Awesome. Thank you, David. All right, let's jump into the content for today. So as I said, we're going to talk about AWS, how AWS can help you accelerate generative AI applications at scale. Right? So this is the agenda we'll go through today. I'll start with, what is generative AI? How does generative AI work? Some of the general benefits and use cases. And then we'll actually pivot to how AWS can support a lot of your generative AI needs. We'll also share some resources at the end, so you can get started, learn about some of the services that we will be talking about today and how to start building. So let's dive in. All right, so you can see a number of images here, right? You can see some mountains and some dogs and a pretty little cake. So what do all these images have in common? They appear pretty lifelike, right? That somebody took a picture or something like that. What these images have in common is that all of them were created or generated by a form of artificial intelligence called generative AI, right? Which is the buzzword, which is really an exciting space as we've seen, especially over the last few months. So let's try to understand what is generative AI, right? So what is generative AI? So generative AI is a type of AI that can create new content and ideas. This includes conversations, stories, images, videos, and music, right? Underneath the covers, it is really powered by large models that are pre-trained on vast amounts of data, and they're commonly referred to as foundational models or FMs. These are sometimes interchangeably also called LLMs or large language models. So during the presentation, you may hear me go back and forth between FM and LLM, but they're very similar, and we'll actually go into the nuances of different types of foundation models later. So over the past couple of years, but especially in the last 6 months, we've seen a revolution starting in the field of AI. We all know that AI predicts, right? We've been using it for predictions for many years. But generative AI creates. And what I think is super interesting is the proliferation of just how many use cases we are seeing where generative AI can actually unlock totally new user experiences, personalized content, and incredible operational efficiency in existing processes, right? Now, you may be saying, okay, generative AI, yeah, I've heard a lot. Is it like something completely new? So it's not really new. So AWS has actually been doing generative AI for years. Some examples I'll actually go through now. So for example, foundational models are actually used to generate the highly accurate search results on Amazon.com, where when you're looking for products. It's also foundational models are also used to deliver human-like conversation experience that millions of people enjoy every day with Alexa. Yeah. And Amazon has actually made a state-of-the-art Alexa teacher model, or Alexa TM, which is actually a large language model, which is available through our AI service, Amazon SageMaker. Customers can use foundation models and LLMs for a wide range of use cases, right? And right from summarizing financial reports to powering human-like customer service chatbots. Now, there's not a one-size-fits-all foundational model, and that's really important to understand, right? There are many existing successful applications that rely on LLMs and foundational models. For example, AI21's WordTune, which actually uses AI21's Jurassic model. Bala spoke about ChatGPT, which utilizes a customized version of OpenAI's Chat GPT 3.5. And we'll be talking about Amazon CodeWhisperer, which is one of our key generative AI services that actually accelerate application developed through automatic code recommendations. And that uses an Amazon large language model trained on a code dataset. Another example of a generative AI foundation model is Stable Diffusion, and the foundation model from Stability AI, which is used by hundreds of applications like Dream Studio and Photoshop, thus already reaching millions of end users, right? So as you can see, a lot of existing applications and use cases are already using foundation models and the technology that drives generative AI. So let's dive into why foundation models, right? How is it different from traditional models? So the size and general purpose nature of foundation models make them very different from traditional models, right? Traditional machine learning models typically perform specific tasks like analyzing text sentiment or classifying images and forecasting trends, right? So it has very specific tasks. And with traditional ML models, in order to achieve each specific task, you as a customer need to gather label data, train a model, and then deploy that model. Now, the difference with foundational models is instead of gathering label data for each model and training multiple models, customers can actually use the same pre-trained foundation model to adapt to various tasks, right? So foundational models can also be customized to perform domain-specific functions that are differentiating to your business, using only a small fraction of the data and compute required to train a model from scratch, right? So that's really a big game changer when it comes to machine learning, where you don't have to think about a corpus of label data, train on multiple models. A lot of that heavy lifting is done already with foundation models. Now, the potential of foundation models is incredibly exciting, right? And to be honest, we at AWS feel it's still very early days. While ChatGPT has been the first broad generative AI experience to catch end users' attention, most folks who are studying generative AI have quickly come to realize that several companies have been working on foundational models for years. And there are several different foundational models available. I spoke about a few of them earlier, like Jurassic model, Stability AI, OpenAI, ChatGPT. But each of these models have unique strengths and characteristics. And as we've seen over years, with fast-moving technologies like these, in the evolution of machine learning, things change rapidly. So we expect a lot more new architectures to rise where we use multiple different foundation models and cater to different use cases and build new experiences for end users. All right, so talk about foundation models. How do they work? So foundation models can perform so many more tasks because they contain such a large number of parameters that make them capable of learning complex concepts. And through the pre-training exposure to internet-scale data in all its various forms and myriad patterns, foundation models learn to apply their knowledge within a wide range of contexts, right? So while the capabilities and resulting possibilities of pre-trained foundational model are amazing, what really gets customers excited is because these generally capable models can be customized to perform domain-specific functions, right? And those are differentiating to your business, and all that can be done using a small fraction of the data and compute compared to training a model from scratch, right? We'll cover some of the benefits and use cases in a couple of slides across industries, because it's really important to understand how there are so many different applications for foundation model beyond chat applications. All right, so how does generative AI work? So as we discussed, it's powered by foundation models, pre-trained on large sets of data with several hundred billion parameters, right? So it typically starts with a prompt that could include a text, returns new content such as essays, solutions to problems, or realistic pictures and audio or video, right? So let's look at three kind of flavors of how generative AI works. So first is we are seeing a lot of natural language processing tasks focused foundational models being developed by the ML research community. Many organizations have had a chance to experiment with generative LLMs or large language models that can do things like summarize text, extract information, respond to questions, and create content, right? These models take a user's input as text and extend it with new generated text, example, sentence auto-completion, etc. Now, another type of foundation model is can actually take a piece of text as input, like what a user types into maybe a search bar, and then use with some index data and connect the dots between them, right? So text to embeddings. So Amazon's product search here uses this type of a foundation model to compare a user's asks with the catalog data, and then presents users with more accurate and relevant results, right? And the third and really exciting emerging multimodal foundation model is that can understand text and images, right? As an example, Stable Diffusion, a foundational model that can actually generate images based on users' natural language text input. Like you can see a photo of an astronaut riding a horse on a Mars. And we saw something similar in Bala's presentation. So really you can divide these type of foundational models in generative AI into these three categories. And you can mix and match and combine, and the world is your oyster there. All right, so let's talk about the different use cases and what are the for generative AI. As you can see, it's a pretty broad spectrum. It starts with obviously generating UPC of original content, such as stories, essays, songs, creative art, jokes, and images by providing generative AI models with specific prompts or themes. You can also accelerate application development with automatic code recommendations based on the code and comments in your IDE or integrated development environment. You can get a brief summary of textual content, such as articles, meetings, blog posts, books, and documents to get a gist without having to read the full content. Generative AI can be used as writing assistance for rephrasing the text you write to perfect grammar, or reshape the message in a particular tone, or make it shorter or longer. Of course, building conversational interfaces such as chatbots and virtual assistants to enhance your user experience for your customers. Searching and finding and synthesizing information to answer questions from large corpus of data, such as the internet, is another great application. Image classification, right, which is basically correctly flagging product brand and category from millions of SKUs that you may have in your inventory. And then image generation, right, creating novel designs maybe for apparel products using pre-trained models that are fine-tuned with customer design data that you've captured, right? So let's look at a few of examples of what this looks like across industries, right? So as you can see, the community today has really looked at the power of generative AI, mostly from a chat or chat assistant lens. But you can see there's so many different examples of use cases across industries. So there are use cases in healthcare where you can use generative AI to accelerate drug development, in financial services to improve risk management and accelerate fraud detection, optimizing pricing and flagging products based on user data. And you can even use generative AI for faster synthesis of content in the media and entertainment industry. And there are so many other use cases that you can see across industries here. So with that being said, I'm now going to hand it over to David, who's actually going to talk about the different AWS services that can help you build generative AI capabilities into your applications. Over to you, David.
Thanks, Akshay. So that's correct. Now that we've talked a little bit about generative AI and some of its use cases, I want to talk about what it actually looks like to build with generative AI on AWS. So you see a few different components here, and I'm going to talk about each of these. But first, we have Amazon Bedrock, which is a new AWS service for building and scaling generative AI. Then we have some new EC2 instance types, Trainium and Inferentia instances, which offer significant price performance benefits over previous solutions for training and inference. And finally, we have AWS services that include built-in generative AI capabilities like Amazon CodeWhisperer. Now let's take a closer look at each of the items mentioned here. Next slide, please, Akshay. So first, we have Amazon Bedrock, and this is a recently announced AWS service for building and scaling your generative AI applications. So Bedrock offers a serverless experience that allows you to start with a foundation model, customize that model with your own data, and then easily integrate and deploy those models into your applications without having to manage any underlying infrastructure. Next slide. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into some of the benefits of Amazon Bedrock. The first is the ability to accelerate development of generative AI applications. So like I mentioned, Bedrock is serverless, and it's also called via API. So you don't have to manage any of that underlying infrastructure. Next, you get a number of foundation model options from Amazon, as well as some of the top AI startups, including AI 21 Labs, Anthropic, and Stability AI. Now, once you've selected a foundation model, you can then privately customize it using your own data. Bedrock easily integrates with other AWS services, and that includes security tools to help you protect your data with things like role-based access controls and encryption on your data. And that integration actually goes further beyond just security tools to help you seamlessly incorporate Bedrock with a number of AWS services. And this includes integrations with Amazon SageMaker machine learning features. Next slide, please. All right, so on that last slide, I mentioned that Bedrock includes foundation models from Amazon. And these models are called Amazon Titan. And initially, Titan is going to have two models, Titan Text and Titan Embeddings. So Titan Text is a generative LLM for tasks like summarization, text generation, question and answer, and information extraction. Titan Embeddings is that second type of model that Akshay was talking about, that is text to embedding. So it's going to take your text input and translate that into a numerical representation that contains the semantic meaning of that text. So this is great for use cases like personalization and search, and to help provide more relevant results for your users. And also, I want to call out here that to continue supporting best practices in the responsible use of AI, the Titan FMs are built to detect and remove harmful content in both the customization data that's supplied to the model, as well as it'll actually filter the model's output for inappropriate content as well. Felt like that was important to call out here. Next slide, please. All right, so I also mentioned that Bedrock is going to include foundation models from some of the top AI startups, and I wanted to highlight a few of these here. So the first is AI 21 Labs Jurassic 2 model. This is a multilingual LLM for text generation in a variety of languages. We also have Claude from Anthropic, which is an LLM for conversational and text processing tasks. And we also have Stable Diffusion from Stability AI. This is that multimodal approach that Akshay was talking about earlier, where you can enter text and generate images. These are very unique, realistic, high quality images based on the text that you supply. Next slide, please. All right, and so beyond just Bedrock, we recognize that a lot of our customers and developers on AWS want to build and train and use their own models. And so because of that, we are introducing two new AWS EC2 instance types. And these are the Trainium and Inferentia instance types. And so I wanted to share some of the impact that these instance types make on building and training and utilizing AI on AWS. And so you can see here, we have the Inferentia training and Inferentia 2 instance types here. And I wanted to highlight the cost savings and performance impact of these instances. So first, you can see that Inferentia is up to 70% lower cost per inference than comparable EC2 instances. Trainium provides up to 50% savings on training costs over comparable EC2 instances. And Inferentia 2 provides up to 40% better price performance than comparable EC2 instances. So aside from just supplying the models, we're constantly working to improve the model creation and training experience for our users as well. And that includes improving the performance of the EC2 instances that we offer for that. And so when it comes to actually utilizing generative AI in your work, I want to talk about one of the AWS services that utilizes generative AI behind the scenes to help improve developer productivity, and that's Amazon CodeWhisperer. So CodeWhisperer is a new AWS service that's now generally available and is actually free for individual developers to use. So you can leave the session today, try this out, and actually get started with Amazon CodeWhisperer. But it's a generative AI based service that generates code suggestions for you in real time, helps you identify vulnerabilities that may be tricky to find, and will even flag code that resembles open source training data by default. And so one thing I wanted to call out here is that during the preview of this service, Amazon ran a productivity challenge and found that the participants who used CodeWhisperer were 27% more likely to successfully complete tasks. And they did so an average of 57% faster than those who didn't use CodeWhisperer. So there are some significant measurable benefits to using a service like this for your development.